This episode brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Shifting a little money here, a little there, and hoping it all works out? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can get a better budgeter and potentially lower your insurance bill too. You tell Progressive what you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll help find you options within your budget. Try it today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
Hi, I'm Maria Thea Harris, or VeloSews on social media. Welcome back to Sew Organised Style Podcasts for Sew Over 50. Make sure you like and subscribe to Sew Organised Style Podcast on your podcast app and on YouTube.
Some of us have so many years of experience that you can look at a pattern and you know right away, I need to take that waist in, I need to let out the bust a little bit, whatever the case may be. You can eyeball and know that will or will not fit your body, and you can mentally adjust the pattern, right? And you can start cutting on the fly without even having to touch the actual, pen and paper just yet. We're not there yet for bra making. Think about how long it took you to get to that point as a sewist, right? You didn't wake up on day one and decide, hey, I'm going to start sewing today, and then be able to do that. You developed this over years and years of experience.
That's Lily Fong of Lilypadesigns. You will appreciate how Lily starts developing her designs from the largest sizes first. This is a long episode that I know you'll come back to again and again on another topic if you live in Australia and decide to purchase your own Mimiquin. I'll be your body scanner. Go to mimiquins.com to book your scanning session. Now, let's grab a cuppa to hear Lily's story. Lily, thank you for coming onto the podcast for Sew Over 50 and Sew Organised Style.
Hi, happy to be here.
I'm really glad that you reached out to me and wanted to come on the podcast because you've got a really good history with making bras. And that's always something that we as sewists kind of struggle with. And I think when we were talking earlier, you called them intimates and how we do and don't talk about that.
Just the general terminology, it kind of already sets you back as, oh, that's not something we speak about because it's intimate. Or even underwear, things that go under, then we don't necessarily talk about and it doesn't really see the light of day. But it should be because you mentioned earlier when we were chatting offline, just it absolutely affects how we hold ourselves, how our clothes fit us. Sometimes if you have the right undergarments, you can feel amazing. It doesn't matter what you're wearing on top of it sometimes.
When it comes to shopping for ready-to-wear bras in Australia, if you're smaller sizes, you can get a pretty good range. But once you start getting a little bit bigger, the range is really limited.
Yes, absolutely. And that is also the case here in the US. Anything beyond the D cup can be not impossible, but difficult to source. For A through D, you should be able to walk into any department store, even discount stores, sometimes drugstores, and just pick one up in your size. But once you get beyond the Ds, it gets a little bit more difficult. And to compound things, their sizing system changes depending on what country you're from, what country the bra is from, the brand, and what sizing system that they use. Here in the US, we have, our usual A through D, but then after the Ds, for some reason, they just like to repeat letters. So you could be a 40D, 40 double D, triple D, quadruple D. And the one time I had to count 5 Ds in my bra size. I'm just like, this seems silly. We have letters outside of D. Why don't we use them? At the same time, the opposite, I wouldn't say the opposite extreme, but there are some countries, say in the UK, like London specifically, you can walk into a regular shop and pick up something that is, say, up to a G cup, G as in George. And that, it just seems amazing to me because there's no way that we would be able to do that here at home.
The size that you are is the size that you are. And if you can't get something that fits, it makes it really difficult. And I'm really pleased that you've got a huge range of bra patterns and also the supplies to go with them.
We realized that, having the patterns is one thing, but the supplies to make laundry, they are a bit more specialized.
Mm.
And, it would just make everybody's lives a lot easier if we offered, say, a kit or at least everything in one place for you to kind of mix and match if you wanted different units and sets and colors and whatnot. But just because we are getting a small quantity of a lot of different things. I believe there's easily like 20, 30 components in total,
Mm.
at minimum three different fabrics. And so it can be a little bit daunting.
Yeah. I mean, trying to shop for them at a big box store, a big box fabric store, it's quite difficult. And um, I had a quick sew pattern, one of the very earliest ones, and
Mm.
that actually had the instructions of how to do the wire casing out of bias binding. That's how old that pattern was.
That's actually still one of my favorite methods. I don't do it very often.
Mm.
However, if I was making a special garment, say, matching underwear for my wedding dress. You go couture for that. And the way I view it is the couture houses still use the bias binding method for channeling. So when I'm making something special, maybe I'll take the extra time to have a bias bound wire casing instead of the usual knit.
It's a really good way to use that pattern because you could use a really beautiful silk to
Mhm.
make sure that the wire is bound. Oh, good idea,
Mhm.
Lily. So, fitting. What are the key issues that you've seen sewists struggle with?
Um, I mean, there are a lot of different things, but
Mm.
I want to say the most common one is related to size availability. So we go into this bra making with the assumption we are a particular bra size, usually stemming from what we are wearing in terms of the retail world. But within the retail world, the size range available may not match what you need. They may not match your particular intricacies or individuality. And so I don't know about how it is down in Australia, but in the US, there are some companies that really like to push you into sister sizes because they don't offer what you need. So if you are a large cup in small band, let's just say a 28-inch band,
Mm.
and let's just say an F cup, right? Large cup, small band.
Yep.
And most of the brands here only offer sizes up to D cup. So they sister size you into a larger band size.
Mm.
So okay, it'd be a 28F would be a 30E, 32 double D. And then you have 34D. That is a sister size. We sister size four different sizes to get to the closest size,
Mm.
which is the D cup. But then you're wearing a band size that is 40 inches instead of the 28 that you should be, right? Because their goal is to make the sale and they don't have what you really need. So they
No.
give you something that's a close approximate. This actually leads into point number two, which is that breast sizes have come in different shapes, right? Your D cup and my teacup could be very, very different because we have different band sizes.
Mm.
And not only that, the shape of the breast is different. We're not talking about, water in a water volume where, the volume is exactly the same. The shape can change. We can have more rounded breasts, saggier breasts. They can be more oblong shaped. And then the shape of the breast will affect how the breast sits in the bra. And so a bra that was designed for a 40D
Mm.
is going to be wider and not as projected as somebody who, say, a 28F, because their rib cages are smaller, but the volume of the breast has remained the same. So guess what? The only way that's going to happen is that the breast sticks out away from the body more. So we
Mm.
call that projection.
Mm.
So yes, the breast shape absolutely affects how the bra fits. So you might have the right band size, you may even have the right cup volume, but the shape of the cups are wrong for your body. That's something that is difficult. which actually leads me to my third one, the wires.
Yep.
Right. So underwire size is most of the English speaking countries, right? So UK, Australia, the US, the resources in terms of bra making and designing here, they tend to use a standard underwire. It's kind of like a half moon shape. But some of our breasts, the breast crease itself, the mammary crease.
Yep.
That actually is maybe more U-shaped, where it's kind of tall and narrow, right? So tall and narrow versus kind of like a fatter, wider shape. And this mismatch can probably is the number one cause of pain because the wire shape is not the one that matches your body.
Mm,
And so there are a lot of opportunities to customize bra making to match your particular needs that retail world just it cannot accommodate.
mm,
Um, really quick side note. What was interesting is if you recall the old days, say corset days, you know, you come of age, you get out an official corset, and the corsetiers, they perhaps come to your house, they do a full set of measurements, and they make one to your size, to your measurements, right? They don't just assign you a size, your size XYZ. They take all of your measurements and they make one for you. We have gone far, far away from that, where we're trying to squeeze ourselves into the standard size versus how we started. Our intimate journey started, you
mm.
know, however, hundreds of years ago, where it was built to our measurements.
We've done what we can from a manufacturing point of view to try and get something out there
Right.
um, that they can sell, basically. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because in the end, it is a numbers game. They are a business. They need to cater to the majority of the population. And if that happens to be, say, 60% of the population, hey, that's the majority.
Mm,
That's wonderful. And they're probably making good amount of money. But what about the rest of us?
yeah.
What about the rest of the 40% or the 20% or whatever is left? Like, we also would like something to wear that's comfortable.
Again, when I've sewn a bra and I've gotten the wire, I've had to cut the wire, the underwire, because again, that comfort, that's, as you said, that's one of the key things that makes a homemade or a self-made bra uncomfortable because it's not the right wire, or in my case, it was too large. And it's
Right,
different
right.
for different people, right? So what do we do next?
Well, I would say that depends on what your needs are. So the
Mhm.
suggestions always change depending on where you are in terms of your sewing journey, and then what your immediate needs. Because if you need a bra today, because your favorite bra is on its last legs, and they discontinued it, and there's holes in it, okay, just go buy a bra. Any bra, the closest bra that will fit you that's remotely comfortable, because bra making it is a journey. It does take a few fittings. I compare it to a custom wedding dress experience
Mm.
because you want to make a muslin. I know some people really don't like making muslins and trials and whatnot. You do ideally want to make a muslin, kind of assess how the bra is shaped versus how you were shaped, right? Because there could be a
Yep.
mismatch there. Assess that, assess the general size of the cup, the wire fit, and then you make all your adjustments accordingly. That process can take a couple of iterations. So it is not a fast process, but it is very, very rewarding
Mm.
because no one else is going to be as motivated to get that fit right than you. As long as you do not have a significant time crunch, you know, you can make your muslin, you make adjustments, and you go back, you try it again, you make a muslin, right? It's a very kind of couture, exactly what they would do for a wedding dress. You go in for a couple of different tries, they kind of nip and tuck and wherever they need to do and adjust. And then at the very end, they make it in the final fabric, then they make it pretty. The challenge for us is that at I want to say the more experience that we have, the more we start nitpicking little things.
Yeah.
If you've been sewing for 20, 30, 40 years, you're like, I know how to do a proper stitch, right? I know how to make the thread tension perfect. And we start, that kind of sticks in the back of our minds of, oh, this is not perfect. I can do better. But you have to remember, this is a muslin, right? No one's going to see it. You're going to wear that thing for maybe 5 minutes, and then you can destroy the evidence however you like.
Yeah.
Right? Recycle bin, tear it apart and, make something out of it, use it as stuffing for, a dress form, whatever you want to do. No one needs to know. But then you make your muslins and you go through the process. There are certain shapes, certain breast shapes that are a little bit harder to fit than others. And that shape is the omega shape, or narrow roots. Basically, your breast root is narrower than typically expected by retail industry. And if
Okay.
that's the case, know that take your time, take breaks if you need to, but it will probably take a little bit longer just because that particular shape, there's not a single brand in the retail world that caters to the omega shape, not one, because
Okay.
the numbers don't make sense. We're talking about, I'm going to throw a random number out there, like less than 3% of the breast having population. So
Mm.
from a financial business perspective, it doesn't make sense to cater to it. But again, as individuals, can we please get a bra that fits?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Finding the pattern and getting the wire for that omega shape must be difficult for a lot of people.
It can be, because again, there are no retail bras catering to that.
Yep.
I think there are now a handful, including my own, that offer omega shaped bra patterns.
Hmm.
For my range, it's only within the larger sizes. So if you're, say, like a 28G, or so, that has a built-in omega built within the pattern. So you
Okay.
don't have to make these adjustments, just because we've realized that, if your boobs are very large and your band is very small, then your wires cannot be the standard size. It has to be smaller because
Mm.
your rib cage isn't very big.
I mean, you've now talked about your pattern. What made you start Lilypa Designs?
I had stopped nursing my second child and I said, oh, it's time to wear real bras again. And I thought I was doing the right thing and went to a nice big box store, a nicer one, but it's more well known for having bra fitters and a larger variety of stuff. And they put me in a bra, and I was like, I guess it's okay. It's not very comfortable. It's not very pretty. It's like it was too big and too small at the same time. I couldn't quite put my finger on it. When we make clothes, if it's too big, we can kind of see, oh, I'm going to pinch out right here, or oh, it's too small. I need to let it out right here. I need a little bit more room. This sort of thing. And it kind of comes a little bit natural to us. But with bras, because of the 3D aspect, it was just, it feels too big and too small at the same time, but I'm not sure how to describe this.
Mm.
It just, the lack of vocabulary to even describe what the issue was, I ended up altering bras that I purchased to fit me. And at a certain point, it felt silly. I'm like, I'm purchasing brand new bras and then taking certain elements apart and adding darts and all of these things to get it to fit my body. And I was just, I wonder if there are bra patterns out there. If
Mm.
I'm going to take the time to pull out, the machine and run it through stuff, let's just see if I can just make one from scratch. And so that's where we started with the bra making.
It's really disappointing that when you want to buy a bra to fit you, that you just can't find it, and then you had to go through the process of altering it. But you must have learnt a lot about bra construction through that process.
Yes. And for those who actually go through the school, to get a degree in contour design, because yes, you can, there is a degree program for
Oh,
lingerie.
okay.
That is one of the assignments they have you do. They have you take a retail bra and take it apart so you can examine the components.
Mm,
So yes, that absolutely did kind of color my experience of, okay, well, what did I like about this? What did I not like about this? And what about these two bras? They look so similar, but the fit is very, very different, but
mm,
yet both of them are my size, right? And so really kind of having to examine why the difference in a slight difference in curvature makes such a large difference in terms of fit and comfort or lift and shaping, depending on what you want.
My mind is going, so where does a person start? What would you suggest what pattern would you suggest that they go for? Should they buy just a certain amount of fabric or buy two lots of it so that they can do a test and then do the final? All of those questions are going through my mind.
Okay, yeah, there are a lot of different approaches.
Yep,
So, for people who do not have an immediate need for a bra right
yep,
away,
yep.
right, you can buy a muslin kit. And so a lot of the different vendors within the US, Australia, and the UK will sell a kit that where you can make two or three bras. It is a plain fabric. Yes, it is boring, but the goal is to let's just get the fit down. We're not
Mm,
going to fuss about making it pretty just yet. So don't even worry about the stitching. Just get the fit down the way you want it. And then once that happens, you can go ahead and buy the pretty fabrics. The easiest way is to buy a kit that already has all the components that you need,
mm,
coordinating fabric, all of that is done for you and in the correct yardage that you need. And so when you are ready to cut your final bra out, you can just open up one of these pretty kits. This is your reward for, going through the process and getting it to fit you. Now, for some people, jumping into a wired bra immediately can be a little daunting, right? It depends on our learning modalities and where we are. And so some people like to start with a bralette or a wireless bra, so that does not have under wires because, for whatever reason, or for understandably, wires can feel a little bit daunting.
mm.
If you start with a bralette or a wireless bra, you still go through a lot of the same motions of working with
Yep.
elastics, working a lot of same materials, maybe even putting on the hook and eye in the back,
Mm,
and then kind of working your way up to it. I did a collaboration with So Daily, which is a magazine here in the US. And what they did is they had a whole kind of educational system. So you started with underwear, right?
mm-hmm,
Knit, fabrics, elastic. These are the only two things that are new. And then you move on to, I believe it was a underbust corset, but the stretchy, fashionable kind were not tight lace, and this is not historically accurate, but
mm,
just straight stitches, lots and lots of straight stitches. And then you move into a bralette. Right. And so we're adding just a little bit more difficulty, a little bit more fabric choices and notions and materials. And then the very last one was a full-on bodysuit, which is a combination of kind of everything.
wow.
And so that process is something that I would recommend. There are a number of free underwear patterns out
Mm,
there. Lingerie making is very scrap friendly. You've got a little bit cotton Lycra left over. You have some swimwear left over. Like you might be able to just take bits and pieces of that and kind of cobble something together just to kind of see if this is for you, how much you like it, how much your machine likes it.
On your point of whether your machine can make it or not, there's really only a few stitches that your machine needs when you're making a bra.
Actually, let me see, the first 3 or 4 years, when I started making bras, I made all of my lingerie on a vintage sewing machine that was older than me. It was an old Elna Jubilee. And it had straight stitch and it
Hmm.
had zigzag, and that was it. We didn't even have the ability, like there was no differential, and so tensioning sometimes was a little bit wonky, but you
Mm,
can absolutely do it because I have absolutely made, entire lingerie sets from it. So you don't need anything fancy. The most basic sewing machine that has just straight stitch and a zigzag is perfectly fine. Now, if you have one of the fancier ones that has a three-step zigzag,
Yeah.
that's a nice bonus. But even then, that's not really necessary. Anything that you can use a three-step zigzag for, you can also use a standard zigzag for.
Mm, that's right. Thanks for that. Should we talk about the bra size swimwear and the bustier dresses? Because we haven't done that yet.
Once you have your bra, done the way that you want, it's fitted the way that you want, you've actually made the pretty bra of your dreams, you can actually take that same pattern that you spent the time perfecting to
Hmm.
fit your body and make swimwear out of it. You can do underwired swimwear, bikini, two-piece set, however you like that. If you're going with the wireless versions, you can also make a wireless swimwear out of
Mm,
that as well because you've taken the time to kind of fit it to your body. Like you might need to make some minor changes because swim material stretches a little bit more
yeah.
than, some bra making materials. But other than that, it's not too difficult. You do have to swap out the elastics, right? Because swimmer, you need to use kind of like the rubber swim elastics and whatnot. Well, the other one was a bustier, bustier,
Yep.
bustier.
The bustier dresses. So once you've
Okay,
got your bra
right.
pattern, you're then looking
So,
at bustier dresses, which is
right.
what you've got on the mannequin behind you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was actually fashioned from the original bra pattern. So if you like once you have your tried and true TNT bra pattern, you can venture out to different styles, including a strapless bra. Imagine a strapless bra perfectly tailored to your body, does not fall down. You could run down the stairs and it stays put. None of this pulling up the whole time.
No.
Um, but just having even just one that you can rely on over and over again, once you have that there,
Mm,
you can craft a full dress out of it, right? So some people you could they just cover the cups and then add a simple circle skirt over it.
yep.
This one is a dress pattern that was designed specifically to go over a strapless bra, very 1960 Oscar de la Renta couture style. It has the built-in bra that you can actually kind of sew it into it. The dress for the uh, upper bodice area actually has positive ease, not negative ease, because what I realized was, hey, I'm at a party. I am enjoying myself. It could actually be my wedding. I would like to eat. And I not really fond of the extra tension in the belly area. And so what I did was the built-in bra underneath has standard negative ease, nice and firm, but the dress on the outside has positive ease. So it still hangs nice and smooth. So that's my kind of take on the old couture dress. So this is a very casual version made out of cotton lawn, fabulous for Australian summers. But we've also made this out of like a very cool satin. Some people have taken this to make it to use it as the base for wedding gowns, and I was
Mm,
like, yes, that's exactly what I wanted, and including some hand stitching couture finishes within the instructions, depending on how far you want to go. This is the Akeru. That is absolutely Bridgerton inspired.
yes.
And
And the
so
other
you
one
might
is that more steampunk version?
this one is the full-on bustier dress.
Okay.
So that one is the full bustier dress. It just happens to be in a cotton lawn, and it has distinct cups, but with the strapless bra built in. Like 70-80% of the women around the world are wearing the wrong bra size. And one thing that my professor had stated, my professor has been in the lingerie industry for I think over 50 years before he passed. He started at 18.
Wow.
So he's been in the industry for a very, very long time. But he basically said, there is no backing to that statistic. In order for you to do that kind of statistic, you need a randomized sample of the population,
Mm,
right? And no one's going to do that. No one's going to participate in randomized sample of, hey, I need you to tell me what bra size I am, but also depending on the brand, right? Depending on the brand, the style, the fabric, you may need a different size.
Hmm.
And so there's no bearing on like, hey, that's just
Look, the point that you made about you might be of a different size depending on the brand
Mhm,
is an important one that I got some insights from a friend of mine who was making a bra for someone that she was going to visit. So they weren't in the same country. So she
mhm.
went through making various bra sizes from, various brands in different bra sizes, and then rechecking the band and to make sure that it was the right size. And there was a lot of variation. So I was wondering if you've got any insight about that.
There are variations from country to country, and then there's variations from brand to brand. So those are two separate issues. Brand to brand, it depends on the demographic, right? So a company like, say, Prima Donna, which is geared for larger cup women, generally with a little bit more money because their pricing is pretty high up there.
Yeah.
Their sizing and shape is going to be tailored to that particular demographic versus something that was in the US, there's a company called like Aerie that basically is kind of like a Hollister. It's aimed at basically teenagers,
Mm.
like 19-year-olds who are very, very slim and don't have a lot of boobs. Their sizing is going to be different because of basically your fit model. So all of these companies have different fit models that ideally represents their clientele.
Mm.
Right, you change the fit model, suddenly your fit changes. So that's something to keep in mind. And you want a company that sticks to the same fit model so you can uh, have reproducible results. So when you
Yeah.
purchase the same style, or sorry, from the same brand, that it continues to fit the same because they use the fit model. So that's one thing from brand to brand. The other one from country to country is the US. We use the imperial system.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not my favorite. Metric was so much easier, which is actually one of the reasons I specifically learned to draft and design lingerie using the metric system. So I work with millimeters, centimeters, and all of that all day long. But I also use the drafting system for that, which is every band size is a 50 millimeter difference, right? So
Okay.
2 inches, 34, 36, and whatnot. Certain parts of Europe, I believe France uses a 40 millimeter system for band size. When you go up, say about 5 sizes or so, now there's a significant difference in terms of band width. And then there is Australia's system, like you guys use dress sizing,
Yeah.
plus the cup size, right? So that's completely different. I have to look up what the size 8B measurements are because I don't know what that is. And then there is in the differences within Asia. Their cups are basically a bit smaller. So our A cup and their A cup are not.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Equivalent.
One of the things that I've done when I've traveled years ago, a Japan visit and a Taiwan visit, and I wanted to buy bras, I just asked them to measure me and please choose what you think I need. And it was perfect because I had no idea.
Right.
And I wasn't
Yeah.
going to even try. And I think I was different. I wasn't a local. So I thought, please measure me and just help me out. And they did.
It's an interesting experience. I've been fitted, here in the US, by kind of the standard American companies. And they knock on the door and they check and they're like, okay, I'm gonna like, hey, can I touch you? Can I like arrange your straps and this sort of thing? My experience with some of like the Asian places, they're just like, okay, let me fix this for you. And they just reach and I'm like, whoa, okay. But they look good.
Yep. They did. It was just like that. And the bra that I bought in Japan, I don't fit into it anymore, but I've
Mhm.
kept it because I love the fact that they had different hook and eyes.
But the drafting is absolutely
Mm,
different. Although majority of my education, my broad drafting education does come from the UK, I do have influence from the Asian countries as well. So
mm.
I have done exactly what you have done. I kept my old bras from Asia because there were certain elements, design elements, like little details that I
Yes.
really liked. And I wanted to keep it as a physical reminder of, okay, yes, this is also something else that we can do that we don't typically see here as
Mm,
well. Perhaps we can touch upon why you would want to sew bras. Because we talked about some of the patterns that they could use, maybe really hone in on why bother? Because the people who sew bras are generally the ones who can't find the ones in stores,
mhm.
right? So it's a kind of a self-filtering system. If you can buy your own bras, there's no reason for you to make it. But if you have trouble finding one, then it might be something to consider.
Why would you make your own bra? Is really what you're talking about, isn't it?
Right,
Yeah.
right. Because aside from having a proper fit, right, like especially if you have asymmetry, a good one-third of us have asymmetry between the breasts of roughly like half a size or so. Some of
Mm.
us have more, some of us have less, but this is extremely common. That's also not talked about. You can address that if you wanted to. But you can deal with asymmetry, you can deal with fit. You have full control over fabrics, colors, and design. So the creative aspect is quite there. Um, but also it is very scrap friendly, right?
Mm.
If you have leftover, you just spent, however long, 2 months working on this gorgeous, gorgeous outfit. Maybe you have a bit of leftover silk. You can, make some undergarments that coordinate. And so if a little bit falls off the shoulder and you're showing a little bit of strap, it still coordinates, and so no one can tell. So that's another reason. But it's just the confidence, right? One of my main reasons for making the bras, aside from the bra, actually finally getting a bra that fits and is comfortable, was the fact that, hey, my breasts are up here now and they're not sagging below because when they are lower, when they're not lifted, let's just say, I'm not saying that we need to have it a sky high and, up to our necks and cleavage. But let's just say lifted, so it's at the same level as the crease, the breast crease.
Yep.
So just perfectly level with it. The breast looks smaller, number one.
Mm.
It looks smaller when it's lifted. And number two, you look like you lost some weight. Confidence boosters. It's like, okay, I really should just try it. And then the last one for those who are on the larger size, and you've been complaining at how much it costs to buy a retail bra, it's like hundreds of dollars because you might be a double K, and they are pricey. The larger the cups are, the pricier it is, just because the construction is different, but also you have to redesign things due to the extra scaffolding, shall we say?
Yep.
The additional structure needed for larger cups. If you are contemplating, I want a reduction, try to get a well-fitted bra first. One, it's cheaper.
Yes.
Two, you might find that you don't need or want the reduction anymore because instead of, being where it is now and perhaps uncomfortable, you have it a little bit lifted, it looks a little bit smaller, and you have more support. So, it kind of checks off some of the issues that you have. So
Mm.
there are a lot of kind of positives to go with it.
That makes a lot of sense. Just having your breast tissue at the same level as the bust crease makes
Mhm.
a huge difference when it comes to
Yeah.
shape
Yes.
because, as you said, it gives you shape.
Right. They
Yeah,
can see my waist again.
exactly. Yeah. When it comes to how long it takes to sew a bra, because it's a new skill, it can be daunting. What time does it usually take to sew a bra? So,
It's an excellent question, by the way, and it's something that I do get quite often. The difficulty is not in the sewing,
Hmm.
right? It's in the fit. But sewing generally takes about 3 to 4 hours, depending on complexity, right? The more layers you have, let's see, if you're working with slippery fabrics, it might take a little bit longer,
Mm.
but roughly about 3 to 4 hours. When you are comfortable with the process and
Yep.
you are not constantly flipping through instructions or watching videos. So it is a lot faster than, say, sewing a full-on dress. I don't know, 3, 4 hours. That's maybe about the time of a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit. Yeah, that's one thing that's positive. But the other aspect is that the fitting is the one that generally takes a little bit longer. The one thing I do like to remind people is you need to set proper expectations. Your first bra will absolutely not fit. This is not the time to be skipping muslins and trying to, freehand things because that worked for you in the past when you're sewing clothing, right? Some of us have so many years of experience that you can look at a pattern and you know right away, I need to take that waist in. I need to let out the bust a little bit, whatever the case may be. You can eyeball and know that will or will not fit your body, and you can mentally adjust the pattern, right?
Mm.
And you can start cutting on the fly without even having to touch the actual, pen and paper just yet. Um, we're not there yet for bra making. Think about how long it took you to get to that point as a sewist, right? You didn't wake up on day one and decide, hey, I'm going to start sewing today and then be able to do that. You developed this over years and years of experience. So bra
Yep.
making is very similar. You will get to a point where you can eyeball a pattern and say, yes, that will fit me. No, that will not. But that's not going to happen on your first go. It
No.
might not happen for your first three goes. Uh, just know that the muslining is part of the process. Now, there are some tips and tricks to make things easier. I actually just happened to be looking at this. So, paper cups.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Why waste fabric when you have a printer and you can just print it out? Tape it together, and then just check. Oh, hey, is this amount of projection? Are my boobs out to here, but this cup is here? That's not going to work for me,
Mm.
right? You can hold it up to your body. Oh, hey, this is much too wide for my body, or the strap is in the wrong place. You can have a three-dimensional object that is almost free, right? Because you're just printing it out yourself to hold up to compare to see, if that's going to work for you. This is the same thing made out of EVA foam.
Oh, yep.
We also call this craft foam. You can kind of get at the dollar stores sometimes, but also craft stores. It is a little bit rounder than the paper cut version, but they are the exact same pattern. But you
Yep.
can see this slight difference here. You can also sew it. So some people like that
Mm.
instead.
Mm.
But there are little tools like this to kind of help minimize and kind of speed up your process. Just because it is a bit of a journey, right? You're gonna
Yep.
have to make a few different versions. What can we do to make this easier, faster, less headache inducing? And paper is one of them. You can do the same thing with the cradle, right? The part that goes underneath the breast,
Yep.
because that is actually more important than the cups, right? The cradle portion, the band that goes around the body, that goes under the breast, as long as that fits, you are most of the way there
Mm.
because that's where the wire is, that's where the tension in the band is. Even if the fit in the cups isn't perfect, you will at least be comfortable because the wire is in the right place.
Mm.
It's not poking. You kind of assessed all of this already. So there is what I call a order of operations to try to kind of speed everything up. And if you kind of go through that, you go through a process of elimination. You fit this area. Oh gosh, suddenly, when I put on the muslin, everything is throwing off. Well, we know it's not the band because
Mm.
we went through that process of making a bra without cups and everything fits exactly the way you wanted. So that means whatever the issue is has to do with the cups.
Having those tools there is so handy.
Yes, absolutely.
Once you've learned how to construct the bra that fits you, those
Hmm.
tools are really great for placing the lace, all of those little bits on the bra cup. It's something that I just think is amazing. Like, this is probably bread and butter for you, but I just think, why didn't I think of that? So thank you for sharing those tools.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's funny because this is a face mask. But that's kind of where we got the idea from. It's
Oh,
like, oh, you know, so this is originally a face mask, but this is what I call a measuring sling.
yeah.
But my measuring system, I don't go by the full bust and under bust. I don't do the same measurements that they do in the stores. They do those two measurements because they are the easiest, not because they're the most accurate. They are the easiest to measure on the fly for a customer.
Mhm.
What I do is I measure the horizontal measurement, like an
Mhm.
equator, and a vertical measurement of each individual breast because again, they may be different sizes. But also, if you think about, you know, we can wear the same size dress. Both of us, let's just say wear a size large dress.
Mhm.
But because of the way of our body is shaped, the proportions of our bust in versus torso,
Mhm.
they can be very, very different. So although the circumference of the bust measurement may be the same, the distribution, like, well, one
Yeah.
may have a large back and small band, or someone may have very large breasts and a small band, right? But the measurement being the same. So it's just something to keep in mind. So by measuring the breast itself, the
Yep.
horizontal and the vertical, you take away all that guesswork because you're measuring the breast themselves.
So all of these technical pieces that you're helping us understand, what's your training? Where did you go to learn all of this?
So my professor he taught at one of there's only like two or three schools in the world that I am aware of that
Yep.
offer a degree in contour design. And that's basically a lingerie design fashion school. And he was a professor there for a number of years. So I learned directly from him, as well as, whatever books I can get my hands on, both from Europe, America, and Asia, and the Asian speaking countries. Also, conducting my own experiments. There are certain things I had to kind of develop and kind of test.
Mhm.
Because I was like, okay, I'm following the conventional methods that they taught me in school, but they're not yielding the desired results,
Mm.
or they're yielding results that work only for A through D cup, but do not work at all for my double K clients.
Right.
And that was a big problem for me because I started this company wanting to basically cater to those with large bust and small band because it was such a overlooked demographic, right? Because you walk into a store, can you find a G cup? Can you find a K cup? It's
Mm.
very difficult, but if you can probably find anything A through D. So I didn't want to focus too much on that. I wanted to, gosh, it would be nice when there's a company that targets me as the client because of my particular body shape and intricacies and all of that. And so that was the end goal, to do it that way. So whatever I do, whatever I design, I actually start with the larger cups first, the most difficult ones. And then I work my way down to the smaller sizes.
Mm.
And, the interesting experience of this is when I designed this particular pattern, right? You go through the iterations for larger cups and you problem solve and you find the solution. By the time I was ready to make the A through D cups, there were no edits needed. Okay. I sent it through my pattern testing group and they came back and they're like, no changes. And I said, what? Like, no, it's perfect. I'm like, yeah, no changes. I'm like, no, no, wait, what? No wonder everyone focuses on A through D. It's so much easier.
Mm. Yeah.
Like the drafting, I was like, oh, I got it on the first try. comparatively with when you work in the larger cups, we go through stacks and stacks and stacks of iterations. This paper cups are actually, I use this pretty heavily myself in the design process to make sure I get the proportions and the curvature right. So it is not unusual for me to have a large stack of these when I am designing. And literally, I shifted the line a millimeter, right?
That was it.
Because detail, yeah, that's it. Yeah, detail oriented. Because when it comes to breast and cut volume, like it's, broad cups are small to begin with, but in for me, shifting that line over a certain place, it just more aesthetically appealing, I guess. The proportions need to be right. And somehow, sometimes it's hard to describe, but for people within the art and graphic industry, you kind of know. You're looking at a particular piece of artwork, you're like, something is wrong. Like either proportions are off or they're misaligned. You can kind of see it just because this is what you do all day long. It's similar to that. You're just like, I need to shift that over a little bit.
And you did. A to D, as you said, is simple, but you put all of the effort into making sure that the case size through to E worked. And I think a lot of people who need those sizes would appreciate all the effort that you go to so that they can now sew their own bras successfully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so.
Do you get much feedback from larger sized sewers or people who are
I
sewing the
do.
largest? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of the feedback I do are from the larger size, partially because like that was what I started with,
Yeah.
but also because there aren't very many options.
Mm,
And so for these people, they may have tried a couple of different designs, a couple of different designers, and there's just like it's not fitting or something is wrong. And again, perhaps not having the vocabulary, same thing as I went through,
mm.
but they couldn't quite put their finger on it. And then they tried this and they're like, oh, this fits a lot better. I'm like, that's because it was designed for you. It
Good.
wasn't just
Yeah.
graded up, right? Actually, I mean, that could be a nice topic to kind of uh, grade into is
Okay.
that, you know, there's I think there's a lot of people where we're really excited about brands, maybe extending their size range, right? So if it's a tried and true brand and like they did well from whatever 0 to size 12 or so, and you're like, oh, that's wonderful. I want you to extend to, say, 16 to 24, right? Because I really want to, because I like your designs, that sort of thing. And then they're often disappointed that the brand either doesn't do it or they do a very, very poor job. Because the the concept in theory is simple. Just extend your range. Oh, how hard could that be?
Mm,
But with curvy folks, the larger that humans are, the more variety of shapes that there are. And I was just having this conversation yesterday. The word curvy is very misleading because curvy works for the term curvy implies lots of curvature. So if we're thinking about, say, 36, 24, 36, that's curvy.
mm,
But curvy within the fashion world also is another word for plus size. And plus size, we may not have those curvatures. We can be a little bit more rounder without a defined waist. And so our bust, waist, and hip measurements can be the same for all three.
yep.
And that's a very, very different figure. So even within the clothing world, you have to define, okay, we're going to offer the larger range, but then you still have to pick one body shape to
Mm,
go for. This is where that fit model comes in. Bras, exactly the same thing. You want to offer a larger line of bra patterns and sizing. What body shape are you going for, right?
mm,
Are we going for the type where the bust, waist, and hip are basically the same measurements. Okay, that's a particular breast shape. Are we going for the 36, 24, 36? Because that's another different breast shape. So these things have to keep in mind. We can't just simply take the same grain that we did for the smaller sizes and scale it up.
Mm.
And I know some companies have done that and they've learned the hard way, this is not working. That's
Mm.
when you try on the clothes and the shoulders are up to here, right? And they're falling off because they just assumed a straight
Everything.
grade.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. But necklines are necklines and it might not be different. So when they start doing that,
right.
you're right. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, as humans gain weight, our shoulders do not magically get wider.
No, not even footballers. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Lily, what do you suggest people do who are getting ready to attempt to sew a bra for themselves this year?
Well, depending on your financial situation,
Hmm.
you can try some free patterns first. Get your feet wet. I do offer a free bralette pattern. Um, Mostly because my sizing system is different, my measuring system is different.
Mm.
Take a look at the instructions, see if you like my instruction style. Uh, and then give that a go. And the same thing with underwear as well. There are quite a few free underwear patterns out there. And try a few. We're not even going to talk about fit just yet. Let's just see if sewing intimates is something that
Yeah.
you like because we are using different materials. Some people may decide that they don't really don't like knits or like elastics and whatnot. But underwear and maybe bralettes be a nice way to go. For beginners, honestly, if this is the very, very first intimate uh, your very first time working with knits, very first time working with elastic, maybe go for patterns that have excellent instructions. Okay. And now some of the free ones don't have instructions at all, so that's something to keep in mind. But go for the ones that have excellent instructions because that will also color your experience. So it doesn't matter how good the pattern is
Mm.
if you can't follow the instructions, or it's a little bit, leaves you wanting. For those of us who are a little bit more visual, some of them have free videos to go along, right? We all have different learning modalities. So if you know, like, hey, I need to see someone at the machine, do this, then go ahead and look for the patterns that have a video to go with it as well.
Thank you for coming onto the podcast and giving us all of your information about making bras. You've got so much learning that you've done that you're giving to us. And I just think that I'm so grateful that you contacted me to be on the podcast to share this with everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. It's lovely talking with you.
Thanks, Lily.
Okay. All right. Bye.
This episode of So Organised Style Podcast for Sober 50 was both video and audio produced by me, Maria Theaharis, in my sewing room, with permission of Lily Fong of Lilypadesigns, sound by Kneef on YouTube. Many thanks for the ongoing support of the podcast Patreon contributors. Their paid Patreon membership enables me to create these video and audio podcasts for you for free. You can subscribe to So Organised Style Podcast, but with an S, not a Z, on all good podcast apps and on YouTube. And yes, if you live in Australia and decide to get your own Mimi Quinn, I'll be your body scanner for Mimi Quinn's UK. Make sure you go back and listen to our free Sober 50 episodes on So Organised Style Podcast. Direct message Sandy and the editors at Sober 50 on Instagram to contribute to the ongoing posts and challenges the team promotes to the community. I look forward to joining you in your sewing room next time. Stay safe, everyone.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.